Hello, the species value nature system. I just want you to think. How was it about all these different cultures and about the history that came before our modern nation? And they tell you they always make the same convictions. They see people rejoicing in spring or whatever, and they call it that. They call it motion. It's because the spring, the ancients were following how to make evolution, and it has a one course. Everything is in demonstration of this value as nature. Only one value is also nature at the same time. I mean, they're all, but I mean, as every other value in nature. And then all valued nature is contained within this. As all values involve valued natures in our body, every cell, every organ, they're two one identities. Value and its nature, and its relationship to the overall one. And to its need for a quality of diffusion that will only stay. As the cause of positive value nature, which consciousness is automatically positive value nature, but per ulterior from natural value nature system. This is fact treatment nature. Everything is a fact treatment nature. The ancients understood they were a fact treatment nature. They understood what sequence nature is. So when the spring comes, potentials come. That's why there's always wars and stuff like that. It has nothing to do the physics. That's what they agree as a fact treatment nature. They say, oh, it's about the poppy seeds for the heroin for all the hospitals of the world. That's not going to stop. It's not going to stop because they're stuck fact treatment nature. When they talk about, see how the religions are dressed differently than the suit and tie? Most of them. This is about a negative value nature progression that all is against fact treatment nature. And it's exploiting only let realized standing extortion natures as all modern nations. Leaders and bottom up. We're worse than extorted. This is modern slavery. And thank God it was originally and now the slavery of our founders. So we have right not to force evolution. We all have that wanted by our nature, but no one could see means because everyone's playing the investment of the system. All we have to do is admit that the bottom of it is not stable. It's going to benefit that anyways. It's going to lock in everything we have, which we're admitting to locked in to by colonization's uncharged organized crime method with laws that were the slavery laws of a database relationship to our fact treatment nature. So when and while summer, if it stays around, North Korea, please don't shoot us because it's not going to change. Each nation's playing the game that only let realize victim predators, comparison natures, an organized breaching crime against our species fact treatment nature, realize that could perpetually exploit only let realize standing comparison natures, which is different than a correlation nature. The correlative conjunction, it's A or B. It's this or that. It's what is positive. It's a selection between what is positive and what is not. This is correlation. We're going to define the identity of positive. In Allah's name, was used to teach this by science before every modern nation was only let realized through a commonly breached internation sciences system per a method that cultivated interests and needs and natures of identities for ulterior from the actual value system needing to blame it all on else, needing to be comparison natures, needing to, for other professions and things like that, fact treatment natures, needing to go forward with business, have nothing to do, don't realize they have anything to do with nation sharing needs for what? Morphine and things, and that's just one thing. In other words, in markets values in relationship to drugs, different natures of drugs, and this is with originally uncharged and stayed progressed. So everyone invested the predatory jobs at the same time, locking into what was forced, going to cause negative value nature progressions, going to cause leaderships only let predatory litigation natures deeper and deeper, justifying their roles, pretending to be credible law. There's never legal representation of the streets. We have the right to say that. Just like the colonists, in other words, that's the American history is about how the colonists and as the Native American value to perfect treatment, torture method, not letting positives, rights actual, and its actual system defended, free speech, all abridged. This is what it's about. Our founders didn't have free speech. We need to admit and understand this. And we need to admit and understand the place of real science and understanding how they built these sciences and the identities with them as criminal and citizens natures. Too long, the sciences have forbid their obligation to demonstrate, the obligations of science to demonstrate how to cause evolution. And what's stopping it. You know? See, because everyone, that's fact treating natures, trained, invested, hurt, tricked, persuaded, made known, different, criminally foreign influenced, through all kinds of natures here as friends. And now this is a method through fact treatment nature that invests them all different kind of evidence mistreatment roles. As standing evident live progression cover-up natures with all areas of all modern nations. All we have to do is admit this. In other words, all dress in relationship to this negative value nature, styles of it, is negative. This is not nature. It doesn't have our what makes it positive is the identity that has it valued by the inherent bond and diffusion through it. The bond before to matter once it goes. There's no negative value nature. There's no negative value nature to it. The identity of positive is positive unto itself, only inherently, actively, and progressively. So English is revealed to teach about the identity as a body of value, as nature, as a semi-nature, because the complete integrity of the nature of Allah, which we need this for a science term. This is before the Quran. The Quran is demonstrating awareness that the ancients could not believe that later generations would forget how to make evolution, how to be an identity that causes it to take place. And we're going to see how the world was hurt tactically and denatured tactically, and while consciously having people do it for other reasons, while they have their own ulterior reasons. And cultivating the fact treatment nature, live progression, cover-up natures, styles of fact treatment needing to hide lies, delusions, premises, criminal intonation, persuasions, delusions. And, see now, that's a nature that we still have standing, progressed. Like, that was the motivations for people to play roles then and now, blaming slavery on what it wasn't. In other words, everyone was a slave. And the ones who weren't, That's what we're going to address. You don't try to look up a guy's. This is the way you do this. We do everything. But you have to be aware of what criminal insidiousness nature is, what the nature of the crime method was and is. And that's against our fact-cheating nature. And this is also why we need what they know we need to ask for. This is a fact-cheat. This is a method. That's why they had the Quran's warning about this movement with Islam. And it's not radical Islam. In other words, it's trying to steal our fact treatment. Just like they kept evolution tied to craziness. And or incomplete on both sides. Making it like they can't, like ratiocination can't work. Real science. That's why there's, in other words, we have the science of businesses of an ulterior from the actual value nature system. So all we have to do is admit that broke. Then everything gets easier at the same time because we all have the same problem, each nation. Not by accident. And what consciously was to the cultivation of fact-cheating nature styles there. Miss Prisian, not a lawyer. We don't need to be lawyers. We're going to use the identity of value. We're not going to use opinions. And when opinions want to debate this, that's why we have to show sequence shifts. That's why we have to show that what is not true always already being held with convictions. And so, that's why the New York game's about with the book. We're going to use summary convictions from the books. I have one in here. We're going to show how the nations agree about how to explain history as rolls with what the organized crime that was to mission creep. How could which I didn't invent that term, that phrase, mission creep. How could I know that then? Because this is related to George Washington's extortion. He didn't leave slavery in the North. He was enslaved fact-cheating nature. Now you say how you don't compare the slavery of George Washington, who was a general, and who wasn't with pigmented skin being tortured like who was being tortured the most in the Native Americans. Everyone. Colonists had real sick laws on them. That's why they blamed on everything else. And why everyone's at odds today. Not by accident, cultivated. Standing lie, progression, cover-up natures. Hurt, conviction natures. Breaching nature, tactically cultivated. Progressed from a base propagated for this before the sciences with areas, space nature. English is about revealed to teach about space nature. What is nature? Its positives, inherent, active, and progressive relationship to itself as an identity of space. And as inherently, actively, and progressively positive value nature, which if we don't let that, it says we're going to examine. We're going to see body of value, metaphysics, what it's all about, how each of the sciences are worse than obfuscating, how each of the sciences were and are originally stayed and progressed, criminally intonation persuaded, criminally influenced, as fact-cheating natures consciously. I'm going to show you how there's a Joe DeMoro and a Mr. Abruzzi who admitted their families in relationship to this when I was a kid in grammar school. No one knew how to understand it, and people were exploiting it. I didn't mind that because I figured this is grammar. Usually you're at my own business. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So they made problems. They make it go away. They're cultivating a breaching nature consciously. Lie progression, cover up natures. Formal evidence fabrication natures only that realized. Tall error, predatory litigation natures. Fact-cheating nature. English is revealed to teach about a fact treatment nature. And so with the law, too, obviously, you can't just assume. We've seen people have gone years in jails, and they didn't even do anything because they couldn't communicate, and they were torturing them, and they were put in database things. So now all these other people have invested interest to all kinds of federal crimes with little things like that, little insidious things. So they're all shared to be a nature that is just wasting people that didn't even do anything wrong. Like, you have kids people stacked in cities and stuff like that. Then you get that kid that has to go walk through New York City every day or whatever. Then someday he gets some pot on him or something like that. They get when they have no money, whatever like that. They say jobs. In other words, these are fact treatment natures that then they're defending themselves as breaching nature. Because we have everyone worse than Oz playing the game as is. Not just because of that, though, because at the same time, hundreds of nations are forced doing it as fact treatment natures in debates. Not just because of that, because those debates are in relationship to serious terrors in the minds of all leaders because of too many of them to even think about, like with chemical weapons, with nuclear weapons. Please don't shoot us, North Korea. Because if we do this way, we could all force evolution, which is ratiocination stations, the original ancients revealed in Native Americans. This is the conviction of the Campus Marcius. Native Americans this was their legion, their republic. The republic was an internation. It was an evolution. And they could not believe that humanity would forget how to cause evolution and become such an ill fact treatment nature, but an organized crime. And to see this and connected to it is the suit and tie. Note connected to nuclear weapons. Note connected to the bodies of nations and of all areas, fact treatment natures that just agreed to say forget about it, trying to explain colonization, not by accident, because we were only let to entertained, forced and tricked and hurt to communicate it through colors, because that's what they put that in there for. Black agencies too. And I'm just using black because that's what they did this for. So our fact treatment nature is a quality of fact treatment consciously made that will then send the self-defend quality of a sophistication perpetually worse than incapable of countering the nature of organized crime that is against our fact treatment nature. I mean, to our standards. So no mind could even make words to itself when they look at and they contemplate all the cities, not just in the world, at the same time, because that's shared here too. They don't understand, and we don't understand. Our people don't understand. These are police shared here. These are internation families shared here that communicate. They're with rackets tied to not just drugs. Those are to facilitate the hurt nature of it. All connected to the one scheme. These, in other words, these are all fake sites with database crime rolls, evidence rackets rolls, witness fabrication racket rolls with space nature. And we're tied to that interbranch. Then they have to cover live progressions. So and they can do that with mean sneaky, setting people up still and hurting people. Each age of fact treatment nature. Tell the placements in classrooms, everything is down. We lost to this. And it has self-defending fact treatment, self-defending breaching nature roles, breaching nature roles through live progressions engineered together, Ms. Prizzi. And as in nature, with nuclear weapons, and with needing fact treatments, not just in relationship, they say, oh, sanctions, because they agree on physical things, not understanding value, not understanding truth, not how to lies and delusions, and needing to hide premises, as natures that already progressed with roles as the evil everywhere, as victim predators. Forgiveness is before this conversation. We have to allow distinctly and together our individual, group, sex, and leaders have a conversation aware and about the instability with the markets and as a value nature system, as a fact treatment nature that is will as our own. I mean, ill as our own. But not just that. How? And not just that. And with what? By what means by it? This is not through money. This is a different nature of organized crime this is through the sophistication. In other words, the people who, like Robert Luskin, used to be former standing chairperson on RICO law, who's reported tied federal criminals in my town, associated with this. Now there's some guys associated with the police, with the schools, that are abusing the kids too, to cover their live progressions from the past. And they won't let me report it. When I try to report it, they arrested me, put me in jail for 6 months. I still cannot get an answer. So they're extorting me from before this too, because I was trying to report the court police were confessed from 2001 and to progressive people who were making complaints about the court police in the background playing games with them, using them from a base they already had them extorted from, like through the criminal justice and stuff like that with the schools and with the off campuses, where they're actually involved with you pretending that not. In other words, that's to stay looking undercover and stuff like that, but they're really using that to progress what is keeping them doing that, motivated to that, need to do that for other reasons. They're keeping sick natures near our schools because as victims, they made them, formally, informally, overtly gangland, all juxtaposed, all areas of our modern nations. This is why the nature is going away. This is why our means, so powerful to be united, was never. When it does try to semi-unite, it's always as a negative value nature, as a cause of negative value nature progressions. This way causes evolution. This way. Anthony Wall. Romulus Wall. YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. My name is Anthony Wall, but that's my name for the thing. Romulus Wall. User/Romulus Wall from YouTube.com. And so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like this video. The subscription's right there. And understand that every science must be disciplined because they're ill with us, and as victim predators. We're not being allowed a nature, a fact treatment nature, only predatory litigation opinion natures, making convictions and then saying, oh, push it to court. But the courts are recorded and involved with this. So this needs to be reported from outside of courts. This is also with proofs that they're sabotaging the needs and means to have our Latin laws like habeas corpus defended, because they were worse than torture before the 9/11 attack, which was towards a trade center, which is internation, which consoled them into natures of crime they already had verbally, in relationship to fact treatment natures, relationship to the roles with database crimes, with interbranch police forms involved with the school through time, hurting kids, and they don't know how to explain it. And the people who do They call them names, they put convictions they can't put on paper. So what do? They sequence shift and keep stacking up databases and spreading rumors about people and never give a response in writing. And what do? They fake writing, they pretend the other was passed. So, and they hid threats from presidents and they had their needs to hide that cultivated by juxtaposed natures of federal crime with areas and inside the courts recorded and admitted aware of. No, before this, because they were with threats online with strangers, 2 passion crimes, because police they had the roles with the kids growing up to be cops and was telling them how to pose and how to make themselves like categorically. They were building polarity natures, telling them to spread rumors categorically, while judges were doing it. Victim advocate when I was a kid, and they made these problems to make all these rumors with the same connected kids who are now adults. And now they're involved with like untimely deaths. So that's why I had to bring it up, because they affect all these. They had life progressions with that. So now, if they made up some of these crimes, there's too many of them. In other words, too, and there's too many recorded ones in relationship to it. Someone can't report child crimes on school because it's through some of the parents too, are facilitating that. And when they have the media involved, media investigators, also facilitating that. 2 Mendez brothers recorded and confessed involved with Fox News bringing Los Solitos, involved with database crimes, evidence rackets, roles with police forms, investigators, not just with the FBI, and the former director who was a co-defendant with federal criminals with roles with them with this. With others like Eric Jensen. All these people made confessions about that with the judge. They don't ever put anything in writing. And he was saying, when I was a kid, I had to write a complaint against the judge for what he was saying. Oh, this is your father's fault. My father and me, we didn't even know what they were talking about, because they direct it. This is what they do. They direct people to go up to people because they know someone and just say something. Just timing too. Like, say they know the kids are at this point in their education. They need to learn this thing. They're going to make someone. They're sabotaging educations to make standing evidence fabrication natures. You don't have one military people from my grade or anything with integrity could even respond